really work in mission control. But if you guys are interested, NASA's latest Mars mission, InSight, is actually landing on Monday. I hope it doesn't land like that. So it's landing on Monday morning, this Monday morning. So there's going to be, it's going to be shown live on TV.
Oh,
so,
okay.
And actually the people that I work with, they have worked exactly on that mission. So hopefully it all goes well. And Hari Bhakta, actually, when I first met him 2 years ago at this one temple that we have, he actually thought I was a Native American. And I get that a lot from different types of people, because they think that my name, Raju, sounds like a Native American horse. So right now, before we get to the topic of gratitude, I would like to ask a icebreaker question. So we would take two people, but let's all think about what we are most grateful for. And we can have, like, I can pick two people from the crowd and we can have them share it. Yes?
Well, for me, first of all, I'm grateful that I'm here. I was going to say my parents wanted me to spend Thanksgiving with them, but I told them that I was going to spend Christmas with them.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm thankful that I chose to be here, because I would have been bored at my aunt's house. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I'm not sure how the rest of this goes, but I do know that the feast is going to be really, really nice, so at least you'll have that. Anybody else that'd like to share what they're grateful for? Yes?
I am grateful to a lot of things. For example, to the beautiful beach, beautiful ocean, even to the grateful that I'm in Los Angeles, because in New York it already snowed. Here we wouldn't become a snowball or snowman in winter. And also but I feel that apart from these things, I feel that what I'm most grateful to may change at different periods of my life, different stages of my life.
Mm-hmm.
So currently, I think I'm really grateful to a lot of people who don't have any obligation to help me, but they went beyond what they should do. They helped me. I'm really grateful to that, and also I'm really grateful to a lot of strangers on the street who smiled at me. Even that we would never meet each other, but I feel that every day, for example, even today, I said, Happy Thanksgiving to someone, and they said, oh, Happy Thanksgiving too. I feel I'm grateful to these kind of things too.
Yeah.
And also, because English is not my first language, so I'm really grateful to all of you that to your tolerance of my language.
Well, you did a great job. And I'm always grateful for people that smile as well.
Yeah.
So before we get into the topic, I will talk about what I am a little grateful for. I'm actually grateful for being a human, because as a human we can actually go down and ask deeper questions. In Sanskrit it's called Yatato Brahma Jignasa. What is the purpose of my spiritual existence? So more on that topic later, but before that let's get to a little bit of history on Thanksgiving. So actually, if I had more time, I could go like hours and hours on American history and lead all the way up to Thanksgiving, but I guess I only have like a half an hour time, so I'll just give a little bit of gist of what's going on. So, according to modern archaeological histories, who was the first people that came to the Americas? Yes?
The first people that lived here?
Yes.
The Native Americans.
Native Americans. When did they come to the Americas? Do you have any idea?
1600?
No,
No,
that was the Europeans. Yes.
It was actually approximately like what, 32 to 33,000 years ago.
That's exactly
the
it.
land bridge.
Yep, the land bridge between Alaska and Russia, the Bering Strait.
Yeah, and genetically, the Americans and Siberians and East Asians share a common ancestor.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah, and some parts in Russia too.
Yeah, exactly. In fact, one of the things that I was meditating on that is that we all came from the same place, so ultimately we're all just one big family.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then afterwards, the Europeans started coming. Actually, the Vikings came in the 900s, 900 AD. And then Columbus, Christopher Columbus, he didn't actually discover America because it was already discovered. But he had an idea, why don't I go trade with India and go west and see if I can get there any faster? So then he went, and in 1492 he landed on the Bahamian Islands, now known as the Bahamas. And then he thought he was in India. And he called them Indians. He didn't know that he was in America. It wasn't until a guy named Amerigo de Vespucci that actually said, hold on, we're not in India, we're not in Asia, we're in some totally different continent we've never even heard about. So that's where the name America comes from. So then, what happened was, in 1588, England actually became a world power and defeated the Spanish Navy. So then it established two establishments within North America. The first two establishments in North America, do you guys know them? I think you're like a history whiz.
Well, there was that one lost settlement over in Virginia. I forgot.
Jamestown.
Yes, Jamestown.
Yeah.
And also there was like Plymouth. What?
Plymouth, yeah.
Yeah, and, that eventually became like New England. You know.
Yeah, exactly.
After the plagues went through, the settlers it wasn't really the settlers' fault. They just. Well, anyway, convoluted story.
Yeah, convoluted story. Like I said, I can go on for hours and hours.
Same here, yeah.
But essentially what happened was Plymouth was, people went to Plymouth because they were Puritans. They wanted to escape the religious persecution of the Anglican Church in England. So they wanted to establish a settlement of their own. And initially their idea was peaceful coexistence with the Native Americans. But we all know that over time that didn't really happen. So what happened was, on 1620, Plymouth was established. And then in 1621 was the first harvest season. But unfortunately, the Native Americans, or not the Native Americans, but the Puritans, the Pilgrims, they didn't really know how to harvest very well because they were from Europe. This is a totally new land for them. So the Native Americans, they offered help. And the Native American that was like a little bit of a, what do you call that person that pretty much, he helped the Europeans, and at the same time he was like a mediator between the Native Americans and the Europeans, so that there's peaceful coexistence. His name was Squanto. Not sure if you guys know your elementary school history, but Squanto played a major role in the establishment of Thanksgiving. So then he taught them gardening. And then when he taught them gardening, they got a lot of fruit and a lot of corn and potatoes, which weren't even existing in Europe at that time. They were only American staple food. And then they celebrated. The Europeans, they said, okay, thank you so much for helping us. Let's invite all our Native American friends. And they had a very big Thanksgiving feast. So that was their first Thanksgiving. Unfortunately, though, what happened was the gratitude didn't last too long. So as we know, over periods of time, over a couple of 100 years, 200 years rather, the Native Americans were essentially wiped out almost to the brink of extinction in the North American colonies. So what happened over that time? So now we're going to get to our actual talk. I'm going to go to the 3 points which I'm going to talk about today. But before that, let's get back to the actual topic. Why am I always smiling? And the reason why is because of gratitude. And why is it because of gratitude? Because whenever I talk to people, I want to leave a good impression in their heart. And when I want to leave a good impression in their heart, I try to look back and see how people left their good impression in my heart. So when I think about that, my heart just fills with joy, and that's why I can't stop smiling. So in this I'd say discourse, we'll talk about 3 different points. So point number 1, we'll talk about what went wrong with the Native Americans and the Pilgrims. Why didn't it work out? What was wrong with their gratitude? And point number 2, what exactly is gratitude? And point number 3, who should we be most grateful for? So point number 1, let's go to that one. So in point number 1, we'll talk about what happened. So after 200 years, there's something known as manifest destiny in America. Manifest destiny was when they said, okay, our civilization is the greatest civilization, and we will like to expand, even at the cost of other civilizations. That was their attitude. So why did that happen? So I was looking into this question, and then I looked at one of my spiritual teachers. His name is Radhanath Swami. So he had a wonderful quote which really moved me. So in his quote, it is said that true gratitude is a state of the heart. It is not an expression, or it's not a reciprocation of circumstances. So in that sense, what happened was the Native Americans helped them harvest. So as a reciprocation of circumstance, they gave them thanks and they invited them for dinner. But there wasn't anything deeper than that. So in order for us to be truly grateful, we have to go deeper beyond our bodily conception. So nowadays, people celebrate Thanksgiving, right? So what is the number one thing people talk about on Thanksgiving, other than turkeys? Family. We'll be with our family, let's get together with our family and have a good time. Now, is there anything wrong with that in and of itself? No. We're all grateful for our family, right? So our families are like a really, really good thing that we have in our lives to reciprocate love with. But at the same time, we shouldn't just think about family, because our family is just bodily relations. And we have to go deeper than that. So in the Pilgrims case, or in the American case, the European case, they thought that their civilization was so good that they would expand even at the cost of others. So therefore, their idea of gratitude, or their idea of identity, was so limited to just my country, or my type of people, or my family, but it didn't go beyond that. So the first thing to have a lasting and a true and deep meaning of gratitude is to understand that we can't just be grateful for something that we have a bodily relationship with. We have to go beyond. Gratitude is just the art of appreciation. It's the art of saying thanks. So what happens when we lack gratitude? What is the state of our heart? Is our heart going to be happy? Nope, it's always going to be complaining. So there's a difference between a person that wakes up with every day thinking that, oh, I'm so grateful for this, I'm so grateful for that, or a person that wakes up complaining. At the end of the day, who's going to be more happy?
First person.
Number one.
Yes, number one. So the person that has a heart full of gratitude, that person will be satisfied, and then that person will act with character and integrity. Otherwise, when we're complaining, we cannot act with character and integrity. So with gratitude, there comes one thing. When we truly have gratitude, we'll have service. So if we're truly thankful, it can't be all just words. There should be action involved. So let's say that there's a married couple. There's a husband and there's a wife. If the husband just goes to the wife and says, I love you dearly, but doesn't really do anything to serve or to take her out shopping or whatever, is that really gratitude? No, that's just a play of words. It's not a true representation of gratitude. So therefore, in fact, our constitutional position is to serve. And some people might think, well, I'm not really serving anything. How is it that my constitutional position is to serve? There are many people out there that are just bums, and they don't serve anything right now. How is it that they're serving? So service doesn't just mean serving another person. It could also mean serving our senses. So let's say a chain smoker, for example. He smokes 5 or 6 cigarettes a day, and he's like, no, I'm not serving anything, I'm just living in my own world. But that can't really happen, because he's actually serving the demands of his mind and senses. Right? So gratitude involves service. So if you want to serve properly, you must have gratitude. So they go hand in hand. So imagine a soldier, and the soldier is fighting for a good cause for his country. Now, would he be able to fight effectively if he didn't have gratitude towards the good cause or towards the country? No, he'll just be fighting out of duty. And there's a big difference between a person that's fighting for a good cause as opposed to a person that's fighting as a matter of duty. So therefore, gratitude involves service, and true service involves gratitude. So Now, I mentioned the word garden before when Squanto helped the Europeans garden their crops. Now this time, let's all think about a Thanksgiving that can happen in our own hearts. So our heart is also like a garden. And in our garden of our heart, we like to grow different seeds. So if you have a garden and if you want to grow different seeds like coconut trees or whatever trees you'd like, tomatoes or whatever you want. So what is required in the garden for them to grow really, really well? Good soil and water. Yes, water, sorry?
Sunlight?
Sunlight, exactly. But let's just look at water right now. So we need water. So we need water for effective fructification to take place. So similarly in our heart, we have so many goals, so many desires. So the seeds of yoga, the seeds of knowledge, the seeds of good character, even if we have so many knowledge, even if we're so well versed in so many different fields of subjects, whether it's spirituality or physics or whatever, if we don't water our hearts with gratitude, that's all going to be very dry and ultimately won't lead us to satisfaction. So gratitude in that way is very, very important because it leads us to a satisfactory heart. And when we become more and more advanced and tolerant, we tend to be grateful, not only for the people that did good for us, but also for the people that are our worst wishers, that are our worst enemies. Now you might be thinking, how is it possible to be grateful for somebody that is not our well-wisher? For example, if somebody cuts us in traffic and yells some bad words, raises their middle finger at us or something like that, what is our first reaction? Sorry? I didn't hear that word.
I'm so grateful.
Well, that's what we should, but that generally doesn't happen. So what happens is when we truly develop gratitude, and then eventually we'll come to a point where we'll try to learn something out of every situation that occurs in our life. So what could be a way to learn from that experience?
I think for that experience, I'm grateful that he teaches me that I shouldn't be like that. He teaches me to control my own temper.
That's true. So that's one way in which we can be grateful, right?
Yeah.
Another way, let's say if it wasn't your fault. Let's say that there was no fault in you whatsoever and he just comes up and he just starts yelling at you.
I think I'm grateful that because I think I can understand him. First, I'm grateful that I could understand him because maybe it is not my fault. He just has a bad day. And also, I'm grateful that today I'm not like that, and I have a good day. I'm grateful to that too.
There are so many things I didn't even think of. Wow. Thank you.
And I'm grateful that you asked that question.
Thank you. Yes?
You can't appreciate the good without the bad, so sometimes you have to have bad experiences in order to appreciate something that is actually really good.
Wow, that's also a good one. I didn't even think of that. So yeah, it's also important when you have bad experiences that we can really truly appreciate the good ones that come, right? But there's certain characteristics that we can take in from such experiences. For example, if somebody does that to us on the road, and if we really try to not, be vengeful at that person, we can be grateful that that person is teaching us patience. So, gratefulness isn't just for somebody that does good for you. As we advance in character, gratefulness is something that we can apply to everybody, whether somebody does really extreme harm or somebody that does good. That doesn't mean that we have to be impractical or we have to be lazy. Like let's say that I'm walking my children and somebody kidnaps my children. I can't just say, I'm grateful because I'm being patient and things like that. That can't happen. We have to act and try to protect what's necessary. So if our children are being kidnapped, we must try and figure out what's going on, get them back. But our consciousness should be developed in such a way that every situation that comes to our lives, we try to respond to it as opposed to reacting to it. So that's point 2. Anybody remember the point 3?
Who we should be most thankful for.
Yes, thank you, Brady. What we should be most thankful for. So in the ancient civilizations, in the ancient text, it is said that women are the crescent jewel of society. So a society where women are respected is very auspicious, and it's a very successful society. And a society where women are not respected, no matter how much it's technologically advanced or how much money or wealth it has, will ultimately be doomed. So that's what it says. So let's start respecting women. So within women, who are also the person that deserves most respect is the mother. Now, why do mothers get the most? Why do we owe a lot to mothers?
Because they nurture us.
Because they nurture us, and
9 months.
yes, they tolerate us for 9 months.
9 months.
While they're in the womb. But even when we're children, they go through so many sacrifices, to try to give us the best of what's best for us. So, yeah. I can't describe mothers in a better way because they sacrifice so much for us. So in the ancient texts, they say that there are 7 different mothers, not just our biological mother. So in the ancient texts, let's list down the 7 mothers that we should be grateful for, not just biological mother. So the first one obviously is our biological mother, and we're all so grateful for that because they endure so many sacrifices and they love us unconditionally, no matter what we do. For example, we love our mother because she has given us so many things. But what did we give to our mother? Nothing.
Help.
Help. But even in that case, she still loves us, right? So the mother is the symbol of unconditional love in the material world. Almost nowhere else could you be able to find that. So there are 7 different mothers in the Vedic civilization, Vedic in the sense ancient. So other than the biological mother, the other mother is known as the Brahmani. Would you like to describe what the Brahmani is?
Yeah, the Brahmani is, from what I read, it's like the wife of a spiritualist, because she's also like the mother. She cares for the spiritual and everyone.
That's true. So Brahmani is a saintly person. That's a woman. A Brahmana is a male saintly person, and a Brahmani is a female saintly person. So we should respect the Brahmanis as our mother, because they give us direction. I know in my life, I have a mentor. Her name is Amrita Leela. So whenever I have any sort of disturbance, I essentially go to her place. She makes me a big feast. She takes all her time off just to make me a big feast, and she says maybe a couple of words. And then from those couple of words, I'm like, wait a second, why am I even bothered? Everything just seems so good. So that is a characteristic of not only a mother, but also a saintly personality. So a saintly personality can actually get rid of your disturbances just by a moment's association. Those are some characteristics of a Brahmani. So the other mother is the queen, or the wife of the king. Now, of course, right now it's in modern society, it's not very applicable, but we can try to see how best we can relate it here. So let's try to think about Melania Trump. No, I'm just kidding. But, everybody deserves respect, and not everybody's perfect. So everybody's doing whatever they can at their level. So we should respect every sort of life. So let's respect Melania Trump, at least on Thanksgiving. So by queen or the wife of the king, that doesn't necessarily mean like leaders in the society as a country as a whole. It can also mean like leaders in our work. I remember actually in our work, there's one person called Melissa. She's like the head of NASA for like several different projects. Like she does astronomy, radio astronomy and things like that. And she actually was taking me to a place in Ovens Valley for doing a new one, other person that was coming with us. His name was Larry. Now Larry is a very big shot scientist. And he's not the type of person that can deal with any of your fill in the blank. So Larry, every time like I try to speak to Larry, Larry's like, no, that's not how it's supposed to be. This is how it's supposed to be. You don't know anything. He's very cutting and things like that. So I was so intimidated to be with Larry at that time. But when I was with Melissa, Larry was doing the same thing, and then Melissa tried to save me like a mama bear does. Like, this guy's new, you should not talk to him like this, etc., etc., etc. And then afterwards I had like a really good like motherly relationship with Melissa. So the next mother is the nurse. So a nurse also cares for you, and she tries to make sure that you are healthy. So that's also another mother that's given in the ancient texts. So finally we get down to the last two. So one of the other mothers is the mother cow. Now the mother cow was actually the epitome of civilization. Without cows, initially the agriculture would be impossible because there's a lot of parts of the cow, like the dung and everything, that was extremely essential for agriculture to take place. And cows actually provided milk for people that were starving and in times of need. So an animal that can give you so much, we cannot just treat it like as a commodity. We have to make sure that we hear the voices of the animals too, especially the mother cow. I remember back when I was in India, I was in a village called Hampi. Hampi is a village in Karnataka. It's like a state in southern India. Mm-hmm. So I was there, and then I was visiting one temple. And then after visiting the temple, a cow just comes and starts running to me. Never have I seen that in an animal, even from dogs. So then this cow starts running to me, and then because I had some corn or banana, I don't even remember, I think it was a banana. So I give the cow the banana, and then it starts eating it, which is normal. And then later it did something that really, really touched me that I would never forget. So the cow then put its head and its neck and started embracing my chest. And then I looked carefully at the cow, and then I saw tears in its eyes, as if it was suffering for something. So then I also embraced the cow, and I said, everything's going to be okay, don't worry. So it turns out that, such experiences would teach us that even animals have feelings. And they can't be treated as commodities. I mean, right now in Western civilization, we know that with cats and dogs. But we're so oblivious to what's happening with the others.
Yeah.
Right? So we have to look at the cow as something not as a commodity, but as something that we should be grateful for because she provides us so many things in times of need. And right now we have 42 million cows slaughtered in the United States alone in factory farms, just because we treat them as commodities. So that's something to think about. So the other one is, now this one's easy. Can anybody guess what the other mother would be?
Mother Nature.
You're very, very close.
Mother Earth.
Yes, Mother Earth. Yes. Which includes Mother Nature. So what are we doing to Mother Earth right now? I mean, we're polluting it, and if you look at India, for example, I've been to India, and then there are some rivers in India like the Yamuna. The Yamuna is actually a river that has a lot of history in the yoga philosophy, so it's very dear to a yoga practitioner. So I wanted to actually look at that river when I was in Delhi. So we were crossing the bridge of the Yamuna River, and then our driver says, that's the Yamuna River. And then I opened up my window and tried to look at what the Yamuna River is all about, and then I was like, I had to close my window again because all the pollution and waste from the major cities in India like Delhi or Kanpur, they dump their waste directly into the rivers without proper sewage. Now, is that being grateful to Mother Earth? No, right? So there's also other ways in which we're damaging Mother Earth too. Greenhouse gases. Nowadays there's a lot of climate change deniers. So let's not go too political here. But if I look at NASA statistics on the last couple of years and the rate of change of polar ice cap decay, it's alarming. The number of polar bears are actually just disappearing, and pretty soon, within the next 10 to 20 years, we might even see an extinction of polar bears. And then by 2050, there will be more plastic in the sea than there would be fish. So there are so many ways in which we're destroying, which we're completely oblivious to. So now let's go ahead and look at greenhouse gases. What is the number one contributor to greenhouse gases?
Cows.
not cows themselves.
Animal agriculture.
Animal agriculture, yes. Because animal agriculture requires a lot of land, requires a lot of factories, and et cetera, it requires mass production of food just to feed the animals. Not just, there's people that are going hungry and we don't even give them food and we just produce animals just for the sake of sense gratification. So 1/5 of all global greenhouse emissions are coming from animal agriculture. And 51% or more is from of pollution is also coming from animal agriculture. Especially like in Kanpur in India, there is just like a city of slaughterhouses, and after all the waste products from slaughterhouses are directly put into the river Ganga, and Ganga is also a river that is sacred in the yoga texts. So because of that, we're just like completely oblivious to the fact that Mother Nature has provided so many things for us. And within animal agriculture, if you look at the number of carbon dioxide that is emitted just by cultivating these animals, if you look at cows per kilogram of meat, there's 20 times more carbon dioxide emissions than it would be for, let's say, rice or wheat or even milk, for example. So if you look at the ecological balance, we should be eating a lot more fruits, grains, and vegetables than meat products, because meat products actually give a lot more rise in greenhouse gases than vegetable products do. But nowadays, what do we see in our plates? The meat is actually the main thing. In fact, if we have like a problem or something like that, and if we tell somebody you have the problem, the person could say, "What is the meat of the problem? What is the main thing of the problem?"
What's your beef?
Yeah, what's your beef?
Yeah.
So indicating that society has been conditioned in such a way that meat is the main product in many of our foods. In ancient traditions, in fact, for the yoga philosophy, it is almost like a requirement to develop a vegetarian diet. Because a vegetarian diet is a compassionate diet, which is very compatible with yoga philosophy. Whereas it also understands that there are many people that aren't quite there yet and that eat meat. And for those type of people, they recommend what's known as a reduction or a restriction in meat. However, nowadays, people don't have that. So we have an ecological imbalance in our system. And that's what's causing a lot of the climate change, with more than airplanes or cars combined. So we have to be grateful for the earth and make conscious decisions. Just like we have Risa here, which we don't have at the moment because she's enjoying Thanksgiving with her family. She's actually, she actually provided us with sporks, which are not plastic. We used to have plastic sporks in Montrose, but we got rid of them, thanks to Risa. So now we're going to talk about a person named Gus Speth. How many of you guys know Gus Speth? Very, very strange name you guys probably never heard of. But he was one of America's top environmental lawyers. And he used to be an environmental scientist. And one of his quotes actually made a deep impact on me, and also some of my friends that heard this quote. So his quote was, I'll read it off, is, "I used to think that environmental problems were biodiversity loss, ecosystem collapse, and climate change. And I thought that 30 years of science will take care of all of this. But then I realized that the top environmental problems are selfishness, apathy, and greed. And to get rid of that, we must have a cultural and spiritual transformation. And that we scientists can't do." So to save our ecology, we should start off with the ecology of our heart. We should be grateful that we are here on Earth and the Earth is providing. And how do we be grateful for that? To reciprocate, to try to give back to the Earth, or to make the Earth a better place. When I mean make the Earth a better place, but also try to elevate the consciousness of human life in general. And that should be one of our number one goals, and that's what Montrose tries to do. In fact, the tradition of what we've been practicing, kirtan or mantra meditation, has actually started long time ago in India, but it began to spread in a province of Bengal in India by a person named Chaitanya. So Chaitanya had an idea. He had an idea, this mantra meditation is so powerful that it cleanses the heart and gives us a clear picture of life. So all the selfishness, apathy, and greed that are polluting the mirror of our hearts would gradually be cleansed by mantra meditation. And he didn't want to just keep it to himself. he was so grateful that he got that opportunity and understood the importance of that he wanted to distribute it to everybody else. So he told his followers to please propagate this message of mantra meditation. In fact, he also said that I am a gardener. Now, the word gardener has appeared 3 times in this talk. One with Squanto as a pilgrims. The other one is a garden of our heart. When we have gratitude, that's like watering the garden of our heart to allow the seeds of yoga to fructify and grow. Now, Chaitanya said, I'm like a gardener. I have the fruits. I have the ripened fruits of the ultimate culmination of the yoga process, which is mantra meditation. I would like to give that to everybody. No matter where they're from, no matter their caste, their creed, their religion, etc., it doesn't matter. These are all just bodily designations. And I would like you guys to distribute that fruit. He was talking to his followers. And his followers, they could have just said, okay, we'll distribute the fruit, and then not have done anything. But they had immense gratitude that Chaitanya allowed me to engage in such a service so I can be so grateful for the rest of the world. I'm so grateful that he gave me such a service to be able to help the world make a better place. So they were so grateful for Chaitanya to give him those fruits of the ultimate culmination of the yoga process. And that's what Mantra House is about. We're trying to pretty much spread Chaitanya's message, not only in India, but also in the rest of the world. So let's have that ecological transformation right now within our heart by the process of mantra meditation given by
Pavan.
Pavan.